Hello, I'm Sarah Bear-Sinnott, and I'm thrilled to be at the Readable Feast celebrating Russ and Marian Morash. Once a year at the annual Readable Feast Culinary Book Festival, Oldways is pleased to sponsor the Gifford Award. This award, named for Oldways founder K. Gifford, is given to a New Englander who has positively affected local foodways. Dunn, like our award winners, was a New Englander, and more than 30 years ago, after a career in politics and business, he started the nonprofit Oldways to preserve and promote culinary traditions. He had a vision for the future, that people and societies will be healthier, happier, and sustainable by embracing the old ways of food, cultural food traditions. The work that he started continues today. Please, we hope you'll visit our website, oldwayspt.org. This year's recipients of the K. Gifford Local Hero Award have made a big impact, not just locally, but also on national and international foodways. Russ and Marian Morash are pioneers in so many ways, through television, gardening, restaurants, and cookbooks. You'd have to have been living on the moon not to have felt the impact of their work. Russ and Marian were also winners in Dunn's book. They were two of his best friends. As Russ and Marian's granddaughter Madeline wrote in an Oldways blog 4 years ago, I've always known that my grandparents were cool. Here's a look back at how cool Russ and Marian Morash are, with some thanks to Madeline, and how Russ and Marian made such lasting impacts. The year was 1955. In Boston University's theater department, a sophomore girl studying scenic design caught a glimpse from across the studio of a sophomore boy studying to become a theater director. I saw this really quite good-looking fellow, and I thought, I wonder who he is, Marian recalls. I made sure I got introduced, and well, that was that. The two both graduated in 1957, and upon graduation, Russ was faced with a big decision. Should he accept a job offer of an assistant stage manager for a Samuel Beckett play in New York? Or should he accept a position as a production assistant cameraman for WGBH-TV, a Boston-based public station that sought out Russ for his theater experience? In those days, the TV industry included cameras the size of refrigerators and on-screen talent with no experience performing. Russ was a catch. His background in theater made him desirable for this new field. He chose WGBH, likely due in part to the fact that if he stayed in Boston, he could continue his love affair with Marian, which became a marriage in 1958. Russ went on to produce and direct a number of television programs for WGBH, beginning his career with science programs and children's shows like Science Reporter and Ruth Ann's Camp, and going on to specialize in do-it-yourself programming, including groundbreaking shows such as The French Chef with Julia Child, The Victory Garden, This Old House, and The New Yankee Workshop. Often called the founding father of how-to television, Russ believed that the world could benefit from instructional programs teaching people how to improve their lives, from growing and cooking vegetables to building and fixing furniture in their homes. The public was incredibly receptive to these programs at the time, and his shows kick-started an entire industry, one that prevails today with hundreds of cooking shows and home improvement shows still on TV, both public and cable TV. He's won countless Emmys and the satisfaction that his legacy continues. Marian wasn't always comfortable in the kitchen. It was only when Russ began working on The French Chef with Julia Child in 1963 that Marian first started cooking. Russ would bring home leftover food from the show and instructions from Julia on how to prepare and cook it. Suddenly, Marian went from cooking her usual tuna fish casserole to preparing things like whole goose stuffed with prunes that were stuffed with foie gras. This marked the beginning of her successful cooking career as a television cook, cookbook author, and restaurant chef. In 1975, Russ asked Marian to cook vegetables as Chef Marian on his show, The Victory Garden. Up until this point, the show taught people how to garden and grow their own vegetables, but with Marian's added cooking segment, viewers could now learn how to prepare and cook what they grew. Her segment became a hit, and the show inspired Marian to write the Victory Garden cookbook series, the first of which was published in 1982, a classic. The same year that Marian began cooking on the Victory Garden, she and her friend Susan Mayer were approached by Jock and Lane Gifford, friends of theirs who wanted to start a restaurant on Nantucket. The restaurant wouldn't be a professional kitchen, but rather a place that would serve the simple and delicious food Marian and Susan prepared at dinner parties. Marian agreed to give it a try, and the restaurant opened in 1976. She went on to run Straight Wharf Restaurant for 11 years and received the James Beard Who's Who of Food and Beverage in America Award in 1984. For a period of time, Straight Wharf had an all-woman kitchen, aside from a young man who shucked oysters. This was unusual for a restaurant in those days. Chef Marian defied the norm and proved just how successful a woman head chef could be. Russ and Marian, we celebrate you individually and together. Thank you from all of us. And of course, Dunn loved every minute he spent with you.
Well, hello. Marian and I are delighted to accept this award from Oldways in recognition of our meager efforts to promote the wonderful achievements of food purveyors and food lovers everywhere, whether they be fishermen or farmers, chefs or home cooks, sommeliers or food writers. All please take a bow. You have improved the quality of our lives, and we thank you. And now let's take a moment to remember the founder of Oldways, the late K. Dunn Gifford, my good friend, a discriminating taster of food, fine wines, and extra virgin olive oil. He was not known as a great cook, perhaps, but a great storyteller, and we miss him. As he looks down on all of us today, I hope he is pleased with what he sees, in case he runs into another old friend of ours up there, Julia Child. They'll have a lot to talk about. So bon appetit, my friends, and thank you.